All right, welcome to Mr. Miller's Woodshop podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Miller. Talking about that kid again. But before we really get into it, just want to let you guys know to like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. I'm online. You can check out my link tree down below in the description. I'm excited. This is a really cool topic, but it's really what kind of drives me is talking about that kid because I see them in the industry as they're adults now through our industry partners. And I kind of laid that out last episode where a couple of the industry partners said like we were that kid that didn't show up to school, that failed classes, that just wanted to hang out in dad's wood shop, and now I own it, and now it's multi-million-dollar company. And so I really have a heart for those kids and don't want to write them off. It is extremely challenging, and it's like I've been dealt the craziest hand ever this trimester. I've got a poor schedule, which kind of is why I'm only going to an every other deal here, where I'm only doing this every other week because my schedule is just crazy. I just have such little time to prep and so much to do. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. But challenging trimester. It's fun to talk about these kids because I've got a heart for them. Just some of the little kind of fun things that are going on here, though. We've just had our advisory board meeting. I'm working on the meeting minutes with my colleagues. And excuse my coffee pot here. I was up with some sick kiddos last night, so need that extra cup today. But yeah, the advisory board was great. It was 20 below zero, and still I got 17 industry partners to show up, which just shows that we've got wonderful people around us that are local, and that provides opportunity for kids. Right now, I've got 2 job postings in my Google Classroom for kids that are looking for something else. One is an 18 plus, and it's kind of in a sales administrator role, but if I was going to leave teaching, that's probably what I would try to look into too, because I like this stuff, but don't want to necessarily do it for 8-10 hours a day anymore. And so I let the kids know that, and they're like, don't leave. I'm like, no, just if. Okay, this is hypothetical. If I were to leave, that's what I would want to do. But I'm not leaving. I have made it. I mean, check out the mural behind me. It's coming along great. The other job posting is for entry-level role in a wood shop that makes toys. I'm live here. I'm on video, so I've actually got a little sample right here. I'm holding up a little block from Everwood Friends in Ham Lake, Minnesota, and they were giving these out at our trades day last week. We had a trades day. We're fortunate enough to have an amazing college and career specialist, and she just rocked the house. She got probably, I didn't even ask how many, but there's probably like 40 industry partners here that are specific to the trades or job placement or a trade school. So all the local ones were here. It was phenomenal. It was exhausting for me because I wanted to get to know them, build partnerships, invite them to the meeting the next week, ask about tours, and a lot of them I already know, and so it was just fun to catch up with them too. Like Safety Speed got their shirt on today. Ron from Safety Speed was here, and so I haven't seen him, and it's hockey season in Minnesota, and so it's coming up on sections, and so he coaches, and I played hockey, and it's a fun thing to kind of talk about when you're in that. But also they have a brand new like a upright CNC machine panel saw, which just blows my mind because I love CNC and I'm grateful for Safety Speed. So it was fun to catch up with them. The trade show went great. The kids got a lot out of it. So it's been pretty good. Now, I'm talking about that kid that just has got a mouth on him today. So that kid that swears, that kid that mouths off, that kid that just says the wrong thing at the wrong time, and that's the kid that I really want to catch sooner rather than later because, I mean, it says it in the Bible that no man can tame the tongue, right? And so that's true of all of us, but like some kids start out way further back. And I've been dealt a hand this trimester in graphics, which is not my strongest class. I mean, it's called Mr. Miller's Woodshop, right? I'm not disowning graphics. It's just a thing where I don't do it all that much. You know, I did come from the graphics industry. I've learned it all kind of on the fly here, and had wonderful mentors that have come in and do this with me, but it's been challenging. And so I don't have a lot of the tricks and tips. Like I shared my trick with the Shaper Origin put it right in front of the kid and tell him like, this is what we're doing today. You can't be on your phone sitting here. You want to check it out? It's a handheld CNC machine. That is a great strategy in the wood shop. I haven't gotten that in graphics, and it's really led to some shootouts between us, right? Those hollering instances across the classroom that no teacher should engage in, but as just a human being, sometimes you get rubbed the wrong way, and now it's like, okay, I can't tame my tongue either. I've learned. So, um, yeah, let's see. I'm going to call this kiddo Jimmy. Got a great relationship with him now. He'll do just about anything for me, but it did not start out that way. I do seating charts like every teacher, it seems. You don't get to pick your spot. You got to sit where I tell you. And this kid was going to sit where he wanted to sit by his buddy and act out and be loud. And I'm trying to present how to screen print. And he's hooping and hollering around the place like, dude, knock it off. And there were a couple of instances where he hollered profanity across the room, right? Big old F word, some worse words. And like, man, this is not acceptable. And one time he's like, I didn't say that, when like he just said it, and he's trying to get me to say it, and it's just such combative. And I pull him aside, let's talk about this like adults, and I just had it, and I said like, no man, you did, okay, all heard you, and it was not productive, okay, so that is what not to do, okay. And I really thought this kid was going to get kicked out of the class, but I wanted him to stay, right? That kid is kind of my mission here. The kids that, have wonderful home lives and, are happy students and lots of support around them, like, they're going to be fine. Okay. And I'm here for them too. Of course, obviously I'm here for them, but that kid that just, he doesn't get it. That's a lot more fun for me. And that's like, it's like a woodworking project. You can kind of take this board and turn it into something really cool. It's kind of how I feel like this. Like, this kid was definitely a rough sawn piece of lumber, and it was actually kind of funny. And the way this lab is worked out, I've got several side rooms, a dark room for screen printing, and then I've got some print rooms that just have these specialty printers. And I was in there with one with the kid, and I heard a great big whack, and then he's yelling the F word like crazy in the main room with all the other kids. And so I walk out. I'm not happy because now I have to leave this kid to go see the student that I've had issues with. And I sent him out. I told him, you got to go. You got to go. And he's limping around like someone just whacked him, which is what happened. And it's a little bit of poetic justice at times too, because I'm sure he deserved it. He was willing to move after that. But yeah, it was troublesome in the hallway. Our school psychologist is right next door to me, and he eavesdropped on the conversation because he's worked with them too. And just total combatant, doesn't want to do this, won't have anything to do with me. And so I really feel for those teachers that don't have those tools available to you, like the shape of origin, right? Which I don't have down in graphics. So he's into the stuff. He wants to be a graphic designer. So I'm thinking, okay, I got to adjust here. I got to do something to try to get him there. And so I had a spot the next day. I had mugs, and I had a side project going for a janitor here as a graphic designer. And so, I'm staying in the call. He's wondering, hey, can I get some mugs printed? He'll pay for them. It's fine, sure, sounds good. I got him the mugs, printed them off for him with that kiddo watching right there. And I told him, hey, after we're done screen printing, we're going to dye sublimate some mugs right here. And he's like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Who made that? And then it's like, the janitor here did that. He's like, oh, my God, a janitor did that? Did he use AI? I'm like, no. And you shouldn't be using it either. Have you been using it? Oh, no, definitely not. But, like, I got that hook set, right? So I'm starting to reel him in. And there's definite good days and bad days. I had admin involved. I got his mom and dad on board, and kind of typical rough home life. You get to know the kid a little bit. He's bussed in from North Minneapolis, and actually no, this isn't this boy. This boy can walk to the school, which was kind of fun too, because we had a lockdown drill here that was just next level. We've got a new assistant principal here that wanted to really do it well, and so it wasn't just that dog and pony show. Yep, okay, we got the drill coming at 9:55. Let's all be ready. He told us teachers, you teachers will not know, and you don't know when it's going to be. And it happened during passing time, and that just threw everything into chaos. But I was like, that's right, what we should be doing, right? That's the idea of a drill, not just check the box. Hey, we did it this trimester. So that's started to kind of like solidify. Like he could kind of see like I'm into this stuff. I'm wanting to work with him to make him better, to help him out, and I didn't banish him. The AP was ready just to pull him. It was early in the trimester, and I said, no, as rough around the edges as he is, we'll mill him down, we'll sand him smooth, and we'll get him going. And there's been several times back and forth, but we've got that camaraderie and rapport now where he will tone it down. There's been a couple times too where he'll start, and it's the class of all classes. I talked about the class of all classes I had in construction back in like 2019. I've got that same style class now, and I've had APs come in and they kind of look around. And he's like, yeah, I've got like half these kids on my caseload. Like, yeah, I got them here in my class the last hour of the day when everybody is super squirrely, ready to go home, and want to do some cool stuff. But he does extra work for me now. He calms down his buddies when they start to get a little rowdy, and it's really pretty cool. It's that rebel mindset, and I've got another rebel in the wood shop too, and there's kind of a pack of three of them, and he's the ringleader. And if anybody from Skills USA or my superiors are listening, I had the head of Minnesota Skills USA in my room, as well as our like head of CTE's secretary here, to kind of walk me through some sign up stuff for Skills USA. And I told them to meet during my class so they can kind of see what goes on and how I teach, and get a little bit of a feel of how things run here. And I could kind of ask too, like, is this like, are they doing what we're going to be expected to compete with? And they're like, yes, this is very good, and very nice to hear that, good compliments. But as I'm speaking with these two individuals, these kids grab a hand truck, a little two-wheeler, and they start wheeling one of their buddies around, and it was just like face palm, right? And I've gotten these kids now that are building their end table. They had a question. They saw me talking to adults, so they're not being patient in a good, healthy way. And they grab a hand truck and they start wheeling each other around, and I see that. And these two people see me see that. And so now I get to see, like, oh, wow, what's this guy's classroom management? Is he going to go scream at these kids for working unsafe and misbehaving and improperly using tools? And didn't run, just walked across the classroom. And it's a good walk because I got a big shop. And so they're watching me, and I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to handle this? I noticed one of the buddies taking a video of it. And that was probably the whole idea, is that they're going to make a video and send it. It'll be funny. It'll get clicks and likes. And it's kind of what I'm doing here, right? They're little marketing managers in the making here. They see me coming, and so they quick stop. And I said, hey, let me see your phone. Let me see your phone. I'm not going to write you up, but let me see your phone. He gives it to me. And I hit the X button, and it says, do you want to delete the video? And I said, I'll write you up, or we can delete this video, and we can never do this again. And they said, yeah, go ahead, delete it. And I deleted it off his phone. And I had him going to recently delete it from there. And so I can't find it. And they appreciated that because I kept them out of the principal's office, which they spend like half the day there, right? So I get emails like, oh, this student will be in ISS for the rest of the day. Send them down some classroom materials so we can stay caught up. Like, at some point, I'm just going to send down half a woodworking project just so that they see, like, oh, I guess they can't do this in the in-school suspension room. But anyway, I found that to be very handy. It's generally not totally backed up by admin, but as long as we're creative in ways that are healthy, then I think that it's okay. So I just got two more stories I want to tell here, but first one was kind of recent, and just kind of goes like my trimester has just been crazy with these students kind of acting out. And I don't think it's like, oh, it's kids these days. Like, it's just time of the year is super cold. Kids are bored. It's literally like 6 below right now. They're not getting their energy outside. It might just be that trimester you get a bunch of them, and like that's good. That's what I thrive off of, and they drain me though. I tell you what, they do drain me. This has been more challenging trimester than probably student wise, probably since my first year of teaching. But no, it's good. You turn the other cheek, you pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and you make it happen because these are the students that I'm really all about. And it's kind of funny thinking about just my content schedule for this podcast. I'm thinking about doing some kind of candy episodes talking about that kid and realizing like my notes, I hardly even hit half the ones, not even half of the ones I wanted to do. So it's like this could be a good little spring series to kind of go through, kind of have some fun, and those of you guys in the industry can kind of see what us teachers deal with, and a lot of times you'll probably relate to a lot of those students that we're talking about. So the first two are in my class the same period as we have lunches. So our lunches are all back to back. They all happen during our fourth period. And it's pretty common. Kids like to sneak out and go get extra lunch or see their buddies. It's so easy to um, just follow the mass of people moving through our hallways with over 2,000 people in this building. And another teacher here is so good. He's been here for like 26 years. He notices them leave, and he comes in and politely tells me, he's like, "Hey, I noticed these two guys left. Did they have permission? Because they were kind of moving fast." I said, "Which ones?" He described them. Like, "Nope." I checked our digital pass. They're not free to go. And they didn't come back. So they get marked unverified, truant, absent, whatever you want to call it. And then I waited on writing them up because I wanted to see him the next day. One kid's a hockey player, and so that's a big time thing around here. So he's off the roster if he's skipping class for the next game. So I said, "Hey, you guys ditched yesterday. What was that about?" He's like, "No, I didn't leave." And I grabbed some random piece. I'm like, "Oh, this came down for you. I was looking for you, and you were not in here." And he's like, "Yeah, we went to lunch early." I'm like, "Yeah, man, you left like a half hour early. You missed cleanup time. You missed all this work time." And they had good excuses as far as like, "Well, we needed the time saver, and it was taking forever, and we had questions, but you were busy." And I'm like, these are all just excuses. Okay, you're not making a good case. These are excuses. You're not making a case, and it's not okay to leave without letting me know. Okay, and if you wanted to leave just to go early to lunch, I would have politely and calmly said no. Let's see what else we can do in our meantime. I'm hungry too. I have the same lunch as you guys. It's the last one of the day. We are so misfortunate to have last hour lunch, but whatever. We're all in this together, right? Had that conversation with them. I said, "Now it's my job to write you up so that you guys get detention, you get taken off the roster." I said, "Or we can come up with another solution in here where it can be good for both of us." I said, "This place hasn't been organized. The scrap hasn't been organized. The clamps haven't been organized. We kind of lacking sweeping in here." I said, "If you guys want to clean and do those jobs the whole hour, we can just leave it at that." And I actually got approval from my department head here and one of the 8 assistant principals here to actually do this. And they were fine with that because it keeps them out of their office and it's appropriate. So that's I don't know, just one trick I'd like to share with everybody, but definitely get some approval before you start getting creative because we've been shut down on some things too, like having them clean the ink cans for screen printing. Like that's been shut down. Cleaning up the scrap and the metals shop has been shut down. It's a bummer, right? But we're all in this together. We're all making these decisions as a team. I had probably last year or the year before a construction class, and the way I set my construction classes is that they work in construction crews. They are to work kindly together, divide roles, and it never works out. It's the class I am most routinely told to F off in because of how I'm making them work together. They do not get to pick their crews. And there's a lot of science that I put into actually picking the crews for them, and it is mostly to do with their experience in here, like if they've had a woodshop class before, or what they want to make. So I have different options for what they want to make. I gather that data, compress it all. It's a big task for me. So when I set them in a crew and they don't get along with the people they're with, I said that's too bad. personally got people in this building who have tried to get me fired. So like I don't like working with them either. You have to work together in this crew and make it happen. Okay, and this group of three boys, I think it was like a year and a half ago because it was a fall project. We weren't building planter boxes. It was garden sheds or something like that. And these three boys were just not getting along. And like they were at the point where they're about to start fighting, like fist fighting in here. And so that's when I really stepped in kind of in force and let them know like you have a fist fight in English, that's tragic, it's not good. In here, you have dangerous weapons that could kill people. So we're not fighting whatsoever in here. And they really didn't relent. They still wanted to play tough guy to each other. And so I cracked down. I said, okay, tomorrow we're going to learn construction, but you're each going to learn it in a different corner of the room, and you're going to do it with a magazine from the family handyman. And they're like, what? I got to write I told them, like, you're going to write a 500 word composition until one of you guys says sorry. Then once one of them says sorry, usually the other two will say sorry. And there was actually a fourth boy in this group that was just kind of in the crossfire. He's actually one of my top kids now. I forgot that he was part of this, but worked out. They didn't become friends, but they at least became good enough colleagues, and that was cool. Just so funny, right? Now, fast forward to this year, I have a different class, an advanced class of wood like cabinet makers, cabinetry three, and two boys were play fighting, and that happens a lot in here. There's a lot of testosterone. The locker room mentality follows a lot of these boys around, and I try to nip it in the bud. And I tell them like I don't care if you're pretending. Like I don't know that. If I see you guys starting to get really close, like your noses are almost touching, and shaking your head, and kind of carrying about, like I don't see that as play. And now I'm not helping that scared kid on the table, so I am making my way as fast as I can across the shop to try to mitigate or split up any kind of fight that's about to happen. So like you're really making this a lot harder than on me. And I had that conversation probably like 6 times every trimester. But I was having that conversation, and this kid just happened to be passing by mid conversation. He's like, "Oh yeah, Riley, and guess what? He'll make you sit in different corners and do book work if you fight in here." And they all laughed, and I was like, "Yeah, I will call your bluff, and you guys will do that." And I don't know, just kind of a funny thing and creative, and haven't had an issue with it since. There's all kinds of things. Like we had the Super Bowl, so lots of people had wagers on the Super Bowl. The American Canadian hockey final was last night, and so there's a lot of Canucks here that like Canadian hockey, and whatever. I guess the people who love Green Bay Packers that live in Minnesota, like I don't get that either. But that's a lot of that kind of razzing stuff that goes on in here. Just make sure like don't let it devolve into fights because we got dangerous stuff around us, right? So that's I don't know. That's a little bit. I got class coming up here soon, so I got to get off here. But I do enjoy talking about that kid. It's that kid that really makes it worthwhile for me to get up and come to work because it's makes it more fun. It's certainly more challenging, but I'm up for the challenge. I hope other teachers see that kid as someone who is worth their time, who is worthwhile, and you take with the good with the bad, and you have good days and bad days. One of the rowdy kids I was just talking about fell asleep during my first hour class, which is very hard to do, and he knows he ought not to do that, but fell asleep. His buddy came over and tried to wake him up. He didn't wake up. The bell rang. Class ended. He stayed asleep. Everybody left. I'm like, all right, how long do I let this kid just sleep right here? And went and got our AP, and I said, hey, our buddy's asleep in the wood shop, and that has never happened. It's happened in graphics several times where they fall asleep, bell rings, everybody leaves. Sometimes I don't catch them, till like, oh my God, the buses have already left. If it's the last hour of the day, like, hey man, okay, let's try to figure this out. Like, how are we gonna get you home? Like, why didn't you wake me up? Like, why did you fall asleep? So I don't know. That's just some of the fun things we get to do here. I'm grateful I have this job. It's a good thing, and just don't forget about that kid. And that kid is featured on just about half of the social media content they put out there because I go to all these IEP meetings where kids are behavior or you know slow readers or all kinds of the other exceptionalities that kids have. I really care for them, and that's what makes it really fun for me. So make sure you follow me on all those pages. Share, like, review, comment is actually a really effective one I found. It's really weird to kind of follow around those algorithms, but commenting, and if you've listened this far, like seriously, help me out. Comment on every single post, like, share it to your story. It's a goofy thing, but I really think there's something to be done here, and some online presence is certainly going to help our industry as a whole, and certainly help programs like mine stay afloat. All right, we have got a big couple of years of cuts in my district, which is the biggest district in Minnesota, and um, I I don't want to go work in some administrator sales job, but that's probably what I would end up doing if I left teaching. And I don't want to do that. I want to stay here talking to you guys, helping that kid, and just you know help everybody. So that's all I got for us today. Thanks for tuning in. Look for another episode, and I don't know, a couple weeks. We'll see. I'll get more discipline here, probably late spring, early summer. So thanks again, folks. Talk to you soon.